Gemini, this is your tarot reading for the month of May. It looks interesting. I mean, I'm immediately drawn to that death card top right. Sudden and abrupt and probably unwelcome ending. But I'm also feeling that we shouldn't be too influenced by that energy. It's like everybody else's reading so far, you know, that, yeah, there are energies in it that could be negative. But overall, I can see positivity here. It's almost as though, and you'd expect it more with the Tower card than the Death card. But it's almost as though this Death card is necessary for you to move on. That's the feeling I've got. We go to that central card, the overall energy, and that's the Knight of Pentacles. Solid, determined, gets the job done, but moves painfully slowly. Below the Death card, we have the Star. That's the past. Great hope, rebirth. So have you lost that hope and rebirth? Maybe. I'm not sure. Currently, you're thinking about the past. But it's not the distant past that we have this Star. It's further back in the past. Maybe even thinking of old friends, old sweethearts. Maybe as far back as your childhood. And in the future, we have another card that suggests that could be about love. Could be about a divine love or a partnership. But coming together. So, you know, that's in the future. So I can't see this card as terribly negative. What is the energy that leads to this death, this outcome? And it's the Three of Cups. I mean, it's a card of friendship, to be honest, but this particular rendering always feels to me like a menage a trois. Do you get involved in such a thing? Does it bring down a lifestyle or a lifestyle that you had? I don't know. What would change the outcome? Probably mean that you'd avoid such a painful change, but you know, we shouldn't run from change. But what would work is you scoring some victories, focusing on them. But maybe that in itself would bring about some jealousy towards you, I don't know. And as I say, you know, the outcome is this painful, this unexpected, this bitter ending. But I'm just refusing to get too concerned about it, and I don't know why. We need to look at each card, don't we? Maybe it's this card, this Knight of Pentacles, that makes me a little bit unfazed about the Death card. You know, he's a knight that is determined, sticks to his plan. It's a knight you can rely on. He gets things done, doesn't get too fazed. Like I'm not being fazed by the Death card, maybe. Plods on, one foot in front of the other. Slow. Change is slow. Do you know, maybe that's it, because I think we all know there's change coming, major change coming in our lives. I think many of us feel that it is moving a little bit slowly. Maybe that's all this is about. Maybe it's just that. I think it's a great card to have here, and you know, this energy impacts on all the other energies, so I need to keep thinking about that. See, yeah, you know, I'm saying things moving slowly. In the past, we have the star, and it's the recent past. So, a time of great hope, a time of rebirth, and maybe you felt this rebirth. You felt there was going to be change, and you've been waiting for the change, and the change hasn't completely happened. And maybe the change can't happen until we have this death. Now, it doesn't have to come in the shape of a death. It can be simply an ending. But maybe that's the real theme that's going on here. That there's change coming, but it doesn't seem to be happening. And you're saying, why isn't it happening? And death is almost the universe doing it for you because you've hung on to the past. Yes, hung on to the past too much. Current energy is that of reminiscing, but it's not reminiscing about the recent past, it's more distant past. And I know I find myself doing this, and I'm getting messages that I've got to bury the past and move on, but I think it's a specific past, not the sort of past I'm thinking about, but maybe it's all our pasts that we need to bury. In order for us to embrace change, we need to stop looking at any part of the past through rose-tinted spectacles. And I know I certainly do. I look towards my childhood as a time of checks and balances, of social democracy, it wasn't perfect, but the sorts of things that go on today were just unheard of, I mean, I'm trying to draw my pension at the moment, and I'm beginning to realise the enormity of RBS having closed my bank account. They never gave a reason why. I have no idea why they did it. I've certainly never been attracted to right-wing politics, I've no idea. But they closed my bank account, and it's going to probably cost me tens of thousands of dollars, because of the restrictions on pensions, etc. And I'm not really whinging about that. I'm just saying that such actions would be inconceivable a few years ago, and certainly when I was growing up. There's no way that banks or anybody would act with such disregard for their customers and disregard for society. Now, in the future, we have love, a divine love. I mean, it might simply be a partnership, but it's a wonderful, wonderful fit. You see, if the past has been a past, or the current even, is a time of conflict, and let's face it, there's so many conflicts at the moment. Even taking the example of the bank closing my account and the massive consequences it's going to have towards me, There's all these nasty, nasty things going on in the world. I'm trying to, as I say, start my pensions, start claiming my pensions. And, I started the process 7 weeks ago, and I've got nowhere so far. And that's just typical of anything you seem to do these days. And if you say to them, well, why is it, well, we've got to do this, and, it's for your sake, and it's like garbage. How can it be for my sake that it takes 7 weeks to get nowhere at all? And, I've put many hours into it and a great deal of anguish. How is that for my benefit? How is it protecting me? And yet they've got such normative ways of seeing things and can't see the wood for the trees. And I think we need to move towards a society where we deeply care about others, where we consider others in the decisions we make and in our actions. And those decisions don't come from a rule book, they come from the heart. Maybe that's what this is telling us. Now, in my introduction, I introduced this Three of Cups as potentially meaning a menage a trois, because that's certainly what the rendering looks like. But maybe I've got it wrong, because what it should mean is sort of working with others, creativity, collaboration. And that seems to echo, this last card we had, which is the future, which is being led by the heart. I wonder if, and I've said that I think there's a change coming and you're waiting for that change and it's not happening quickly enough. I wonder if you're saying, well, I must collaborate with others, I must do something. And this does precipitate the ending for you. But maybe not quite as you'd have planned it. But, the universe doesn't work like that. Now, what would change the outcome? But now I'm beginning to think, do you want to change the outcome? But what would change the outcome is you scoring some victories. Yes, if you begin to think that you're making progress, then it could mean that the change isn't as dramatic. But there is the danger of making people jealous in this course of action. Whereas the collaborative one, well, maybe you make people jealous through collaboration, those not in it, but this is much more of a lone thing. Whereas the steer is towards collaboration, yes. So now we're left with the Death card. So it is a bitter and abrupt, probably an unwelcome ending. Is it unwelcome? No, it's not. We want an ending because we know we need an ending to move on. So it's not unwelcome. It's almost certainly abrupt. It's almost certainly somewhat bitter, unexpected. I think it's the universe doing it for you, rather than you sort of fully embracing the change. But maybe you simply cannot fully embrace the change, even though you think you can, because the change is going to be so dramatic that you cannot conceive it, and the universe has to pull the rug from under your feet. So I don't see this as a bad energy, but I'm going to seek clarification on it. And we need to understand this Death card, don't we? First card we have is the Eight of Pentacles. Period of learning, maybe training. Maybe a bit laborious, but something that that will bring benefits later on. Is it an end to that? Could be. Or does that bring an end to things? Page of Cups, searching for creativity, creative solutions, an end to learning and an end to creative solutions. That's interesting. And the final one is the Queen of Wands. Now, I have said before, Gemini, you've a tendency to use people. I think you're quite a nice person, but an end of that. It's the end of the ego, isn't it? Yeah. Let's look at each individually. And yeah, I'm pretty certain what is needing to end is the end of things that are important to you. It's almost the end of your ego. So it's the end of you learning, the end of you striving, the end of you trying to better yourself. I know this seems very strange, but you know, if you think of the last paradigm, it was all about education, wasn't it? I've seen a meme on Lee, he's a fellow YouTuber. He does these memes that are very funny, and said for 3 generations you encouraged us to get an education. Then in 2020 you completely betrayed us all, and we realised what a waste of time it was. And you know, I think that's going round us all now, isn't it? That, you know, I paid for both my stepdaughters to go to the best universities in Indonesia for their subjects. They both came top in their class, and neither of them have got decent jobs, you know. We're beginning to realise what a scam education was, aren't we? And it's giving up on this sort of idea that we are in control, because we blatantly haven't been. And of course the new paradigm will require creative solutions. But isn't your very search for creative solutions, just like your desire for education, it's really a desire for control? It's saying that if I do this, if I do that, then I will be more in control of my destiny than others. When really we need to be working together in harmony, taking account of what everybody wants, and not charging off saying that we have this creative solution. Yeah. And you might be shocked at why I'm speaking like this, Gemini, but I know you. You're not a bad person. You're not at all. But you do like to be in control. It's a soft sort of a control. It's a soft power that you use. You work through others, you inspire others, but at its worst, it's manipulating others. And all of this has to change, and the universe is going to pull the rug from under your feet and change it for you. It is ultimately the ego that needs to go, and it's going to be difficult, you know, it is. But you know change is coming, and you want the change to come, so hey, even if it's a bitter ending, embrace it, Gemini. Gemini, for some time you've known change is coming. You've been somewhat reborn, full of hope. But it's coming very slowly for you, and you can't understand why. And you're reminiscing about the past, seeing the past almost through rose-tinted spectacles. And you know, you're sort of seeking to control things. You're doing it in a very nice way because you are a very nice person. But you think that if you can work with others to create change, that change will happen. And this is a change coming from God, from the universe. It'll happen when the universe decides, not when you. And you know, you've been trying to learn maybe spirituality, learning about what's going on. You've been seeking creative solutions. But as I say, I know you, Gemini. Even though you're very nice, at the heart you're trying to achieve things with others, through others, but that can be a little bit manipulative. And the change will only come for you when you stop attempting to control. This is for you, Gemini, this is not for others. When you stop attempting to control, then it will come about. Chances are the universe is going to do it for you. They'll pull the rug from under your feet. The change won't happen when you think it will. And it will probably be somewhat unexpected, therefore. And it could even be a little bit unpleasant. But that change is required for you to move on and to move to what you know is right, which is a new paradigm, a paradigm of love, a paradigm of partnership. So everything that you've been wanting. But it's just the way that it comes and the timing that it comes that maybe don't find so agreeable.